Hello, my name is Nadine and welcome to Hop Along Studio. So in today's video, I want to show you how you can use a couple colors of ink, a few stamps, and some paper to make a really nice Christmas card. So let's get started. So to start with, I am using a 5x7 piece of metallic cardstock. This one is actually a metallic writing paper, so it's not as heavy as a cardstock, but if you have a cardstock, I would definitely recommend using it over writing paper. So to start with, I'm going to be using this stamp. This is part of the Yuletide Gatherings stamp set by Stampers Anonymous. I'm going to start by adding some forest moss distress oxide ink to the back of the stamp. And you always want to flip your stamp over and apply ink like this. It leaves for a much better, crisper image. So the next thing I do is put your project in a box. The reason for that is it keeps the embossing powder from going everywhere. So I'm using this Distress Embossing Glaze Peeled Paint embossing powder. It is translucent. What's nice about that is it actually allows some of the color of the ink to come through while still adding a little bit of interest in color with the embossing glaze. And now we're going to heat set this image. So now that we've embossed our image, now we're going to stamp over top of it. And this is where it gets kind of interesting because I'm going to be using this Christmas greeting stamp. The crackling campfire will be resisted by the embossing. But the archival ink, because it is more oil-based ink, will not be. So this is where it gets interesting, where you can stamp up on top of things and some of the image goes to the back and some of it comes to the front. So this is where you can add a little bit of variety in your stamping and get some really interesting images. So I'm adding my black Christmas greetings here. And you can see you can read the whole thing over top of the embossed image. And now I'm going to clean my stamp. And then start using this crackling campfire, which is one of Tim Holtz's newer ink colors, and add some variety to my background. And if I was being patient about this, I'd actually be using a stamping platform or some sort of a stamping guide to help me have a straighter letter, but I'm a little impatient. That's not really how I work, lining everything up perfectly. So I'm just eyeballing this. And again, you can get some pretty good text images just with trying to look at the overall balance to your card and just eyeballing it. So it makes it a little bit more challenging because the paper isn't staying super steady. And this is why instead of using a writing paper, I would use a cardstock if you have it available. So again, my lettering is not perfect with this, but I'm okay with that. I liked the idea of having some visual interest to this layout using ink. So this particular metallic writing paper is a little bit slippery, which also makes it a little bit more challenging. So I think by using slightly better materials than what I'm using today, you could probably get a slightly better result. But I really wanted to show you the concept of being able to use just a couple stamps, a few ink pads, one embossing powder, to be able to come up with a very strong graphical design that doesn't require a lot of work. When I'm working on cards for Christmas, a lot of my focus is having something that's easily repeatable to make a really nice card that is not a lot of work. By nature, I prefer acrylic painting. I prefer art journaling as like my creative output, but I also love the opportunity to bless people by making cards because I know there are a lot of people who keep my handmade cards. And so I look at that and the idea of being able to give like a little piece of art to someone just always brings me joy. So instead of feeling like something that is challenging and difficult and frustrating because I can't make them quickly. Instead, I stick to fairly simple designs. These simple designs allow me to get my ideas down quickly, being able to come up with something that people will enjoy, but I'm not spending weeks or months creating cards. And as well too, if you're newer to the idea of creativity as self-care, if you're new to some of these concepts, this is a great way to practice, just to understand how some of these materials work, how things work together, and how you can end up with really great images without a lot of work. Yeah, I'm a little wonky with my stamping, but I really don't mind. And if you're looking at this and cringing a little bit, use the stamping platform and you'll get much better results than I am. But I am not that meticulous when it comes to this kind of thing. So there you go. So really, in a very short period of time, you now have a Christmas card. It has a really great graphical image with the holly. You have that nice black strong line with the Christmas greetings, and then you have this great background. And again, it's all with basically 2 stamps, 3 inks, and an embossing glaze. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, if you could like it, subscribe to my channel, and maybe provide a comment about what you liked about this video. And if you have any questions, just feel free to contact me. I have my website, hopalongstudio.com, where I have other card ideas, other ideas for having a creative self-care habit in your own personal life. I hope you have a really great week, and I will see you next time.